Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is officially starting to play out the oversold signal on the daily time frame, just like what we saw around 9 months ago. While in the short term, Bitcoin is continuing to perfectly play out the short-term bullish divergence, and we are also now starting to see the Bitcoin and crypto funding rates across many different exchanges flip negative for the first time in a while, which is indicating a possible short squeeze, which we need to pay attention to. I'll be talking about that in just a moment, alongside Ethereum, which is now once again starting to play out yet another oversold signal here in the short term, while the price of Solana is continuing to hold above this crucial level on the price chart. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the weekly Bitcoin price chart, and the super trend indicator is still sitting in the red as it has been over the last 1 to 2 weeks now. So this is indicating a larger bearish trend beginning to form on the weekly time frame. And if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin price chart, we still have the massive bearish divergence affecting the price of Bitcoin. At least for now, it is still technically active, which means we've not yet confirmed any invalidation signal to invalidate the bearish divergence. So overall, continue to expect a lot of weakness, lacking bullish momentum for the price of Bitcoin on the larger time frames. But remember, in the shorter term, on smaller time frames, from time to time we can see short-term bullish moves, short-term bullish reliefs and things like that. Of course, the price does not move in a straight line, so keep that in mind. We can see perhaps a slight little relief in the short term, which I'll talk about in just a moment. But if we're looking at the bigger picture, as in maybe over the next couple of months, we're still not in the clear yet. We're still technically looking quite weak on the larger time frames. And if we're taking a look at the daily Bitcoin price chart, at least for now, the price of Bitcoin is still roughly holding on to this area of support in between around 85 to 86,000. Now, over the last one day, we did technically confirm one daily candle close just around $100 or $200 below 85,000. But as of recording this video, we're already trading back above 85 to 86,000. So it's possible we're still holding that area, or roughly around that area, as support, give or take 85,000 as the level of support to watch out for in the short term. And if the price breaks back below roughly 85,000, and especially if we fail to get back above that level, in that situation, the next support towards the downside is at close to 80,000, based on that being a psychological level, a round number. And below 80,000, the next point of support is at roughly around 76,000, give or take. And clearly, the larger trend on the daily time frame is technically still bearish, despite seeing the occasional short-term bounce, which we are currently seeing right now in the shorter term. And as for resistance to watch out for, if we continue this bounce, expect potentially some resistance at roughly 88,000, based on previous resistance back here in the price, still sitting at around 88,000. And above that level, expect a lot more resistance at closer towards around 92 to 94,000. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin price chart, obviously right now the price of Bitcoin is officially playing out this oversold signal in the daily Bitcoin RSI, and we've almost now reset out of oversold, but not just yet, which means it will likely continue to play out over the coming days here. And what happened last time we confirmed an oversold signal in the daily Bitcoin RSI, that happened back in around late February this year. And what came next over the next 1 week or so was just a shorter term bullish move. Now, I want to make it clear that was not a bottom signal. It does not confirm that the bottom is in, because we ultimately went lower later on. But just in the shorter term, for the following days, the next 1 week, that sort of time frame, we did see a bit of a short-term bullish move during the bearish trend. And it's actually possible that this short-term bullish relief, which is now already starting to play out, it's possible, in fact, it's quite likely that this will last longer than maybe just a few days. It could potentially last for up to, say, 1 or 2 weeks. So once again, longer than just a few days, due to the fact that we're not only seeing an oversold signal on the daily Bitcoin RSI, we've also hit oversold on the 3-day Bitcoin RSI for the first time in over 3 years. The last time we confirmed an oversold signal on the 3-day Bitcoin RSI was all the way back here around June, July 2022. And if we're looking at the last couple of times we confirmed this oversold signal on the 3-day time frame, we did see either a sideways consolidation or potentially a little bit more of a bullish relief playing out over a few weeks, maybe even up to around a month, that sort of time frame. So keep that in mind. Of course, it is quite likely that obviously we're already starting to play out the bullish relief, as I already predicted over the last 1 to 2 days here, and it is quite likely that this will continue maybe over the next 1 or 2 weeks. That sort of time frame is what I expect for this shorter term relief during the larger bearish trend. And of course, if we're taking a look at the shorter term here on the 6-hour Bitcoin price chart, we're also actively playing out this short-term bullish divergence as predicted. And so once again, this signal is aligning very well with the oversold signals, ultimately signals telling us that we're likely going to see a bit of a relief from all of the bearish price action. So that means either a slight bullish relief or maybe a bit of choppy sideways price action, but ultimately a break or a relief from all of the bearish price action, but not necessarily confirming the end of the bearish trend. Remember, it is possible we can see bullish divergences and bullish reliefs during the trend before we ultimately head lower later on. So keep that in mind. That's still a risk that we need to be aware of. And of course, like I already said over the last couple of days, another factor that could also help cause a slight bullish relief in the short term, pulling the price a little bit higher in the short term, is of course the fact that we have some major liquidity now finally starting to build above the price after we already wiped out all of the liquidity that was building below the price over the last 1 week or so. Obviously, we wiped out a bunch of long positions, and now we have potentially a bunch of short positions that opened up near the lows with their liquidation prices, a lot of them sitting at around 97,000. So 97k is a price target to pay attention to, and obviously the price is already starting to get drawn towards that liquidity. But as always, we cannot ignore points of resistance where the price could possibly struggle at or reject from. Like for example, as I said earlier, we'll likely find potentially some resistance at close to 88,000, but especially in between 92 to 94,000, expect resistance in that area, which means the price possibly struggling or rejecting from around that area on the price chart. So keep that in mind. Even though we have a technical price target based on this liquidity at around 97,000 to watch out for right around here, before we could hit that level, we have other points of resistance to first watch out for. And if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin and crypto funding rates, we can see that right now, a lot of these funding rates for a lot of these crypto assets across pretty much all of these major exchanges here are flipping in the negative territory below the neutral rate, which in case you're new to all of this, the neutral funding rate is 0.01%, positive 0.01%. So anything below that, especially anything below zero, is ultimately having a premium to short these crypto assets. In other words, people are paying extra fees to short the market right now with these negative funding rates, and there's not many people interested in longing these crypto assets. And so basically, as these funding rates go further and further negative, that technically increases the probability of a short squeeze happening, because negative funding rates basically puts extra pressure, financial pressure, on anyone holding a short position. Because if you're holding a short position every 8 hours, if the funding rate is negative, you're paying that rate as an extra fee every 8 hours just by holding a short position, which means even if the price goes sideways, you're actually losing money to funding fees by holding a short position if the funding rate is negative. And so essentially right now, the short positions need the price to drop again to relieve some of that pressure, but especially if the price continues to play out this slight bullish relief on top of the negative funding rates, of course, that's putting extra pressure on the short positions, especially if they're highly leveraged. So this could possibly lead to a little bit of a short squeeze, which can help push the price a little bit higher in the short term. And so that's exactly why I said all the way back up here at much higher prices, I said, now's the time, I said this back here, now's the time to short Bitcoin, short crypto, but take profits around the mid 80k area is what I said. Now, obviously we head a little bit lower towards around 80,000, but I said roughly around here is not a bad idea to take profits, not financial advice, but obviously if you're in some decent profits on a short position, it would be wise to potentially take at least a little bit of profits off the table and have a stop loss at least at break even, ideally sitting in profits. But for anyone out there that of course was not watching my videos, let's just say if you opened a short position right at these lows just here when the price was running into support and forming this bullish divergence and these oversold signals, if you, for example, were watching another crypto person out there and you open short positions right here, then right now you could be starting to get squeezed out of that position, which can help push the price a little bit higher, because when a short position closes or gets liquidated, they have to buy back into the underlying asset, in this case Bitcoin, which puts extra buying pressure on the price. And so we actually have multiple pieces of information here, these negative funding rates, the liquidity above the price, price, the bullish divergence, the oversold signals, all of this information right now just in the short term. Once again, understand the difference between the different time frames, but all of this information when we're talking about the shorter term is pointing towards a little bit more of a bullish relief as a very likely scenario just in the coming days, or maybe over the next 1 week, maybe over the next couple of weeks, considering the oversold signal on the 3-day time frame. But ultimately, those are my predictions here in the shorter term for the price of Bitcoin. And obviously, that's what I've been saying over the last 1 to 2 days and is now already starting to perfectly playing out as predicted. But once again, if we're talking about maybe the next couple of months after we first play out a bit more of a short-term bullish move, the next couple of months is still obviously not looking too good. If we're zooming out looking at the weekly time frame, we still have these major warning signals that have not gone away, at least not as of right now. And just to be transparent with you, I'm currently not in a leverage trade, but I did actually just accumulate a small amount of spot Bitcoin, just a few Bitcoin on the spot market. Just to be fully transparent with you, I do expect a little bit more of a short-term bullish move, but that's using no leverage. So even if the price dumps, I'll still be okay. And of course, if you want to get set up ready to go on a crypto exchange to take advantage of this trading opportunity, definitely get set up ready to go using the first link below this video to Pinex, because if you get set up over here on Pinex using that link, you can take advantage of some massive deposit bonuses that are only available using that link. So for example, if you make an account using the link below the video, make a deposit as little as 100 USDT, you get a 200 USDT bonus from the exchange deposited in your account, basically free money from the exchange. Or if you deposit $1,000, you get a $600 bonus, all the way up towards these much larger amounts. You can get up to 40,000 USDT from a deposit bonus from the exchange deposited into your account just by simply making an account using that link and making a deposit. And then of course, if you want to, not financial advice, but you can go ahead to use this deposit bonus from the exchange, use the exchange's money in order to actually fund one of these Bitcoin trades right here if you want to. So essentially, you wouldn't even be risking your own money in that situation. You would be risking, of course, the deposit bonus, the exchange's money. And then if you end up making any profits out of that trade, obviously you can go ahead and withdraw those profits. And so especially if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, or preparing to take the next trading opportunity, you might as well check this out. Once again, first link below this video. But if you want another exchange out there, another option that is a no KYC exchange, and if you also want protection from any possible liquidation, then definitely check out the second link below this video, because that second link below the video will take you to 2bit. It'll take you to this page right here, where you can also take advantage of major bonuses and protections from actual losses on your trades. And so once again, you can see all of this information using the second link below the video. But basically, if you're a new user that's just making your account for the first time using the link below the video, you can get up to a 100% loss protection on your first futures trade, up to 200 USDT in trial funds. So basically, if you lose a bunch of money on your first trade using the link below the video, you can actually potentially get some of that back, depending on obviously the size of the position. And then on top of that, if you also lost money during this campaign right here that's happening right now, you can also get up to 1,000 USDT in basically recovery funds, just if you got liquidated out of your trade on liquidations over 50 USDT during this event. And so once again, if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, or preparing to take the next trading opportunity, definitely take advantage of this using that second link below the video. And once again, 2bit is indeed a no KYC exchange. But with that being said, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin dominance chart on the daily time frame, and overall, I do expect just a slight little bullish relief in the Bitcoin dominance, because typically, especially in this crypto cycle, typically when the Bitcoin price plays out a bit of a bullish move, usually the Bitcoin dominance also moves up alongside the Bitcoin price. And then if we see a bit of a correction, of course, as of recent in the crypto market, we've also seen a correction alongside in the Bitcoin dominance. And so overall, my prediction is just a slight bullish relief as a very likely scenario in the shorter term for the Bitcoin dominance. And if we're taking a look at the price of Ethereum on the daily time frame, right now the price of ETH is technically still within the larger bearish trends, but we perfectly bounced from this retracement level, the 50% retracement level, acting as strong support at just above 2.6k. So really in between around 2.6k to 2.7k is still the area of support to watch out for, which we just perfectly bounced from. And as for resistance resistance. If we continue the bounce a little bit further, it's possible we could find a small amount of resistance at close to 2.8k, considering this previous point of resistance back here at around 2.8k. But above that, the next target, the next point of resistance to watch out for is really in between 3,000 to 3.1k as an important area on the price chart. And so it's possible that at least for now, the price is kind of range bound between this support and this resistance, at least in the shorter term during the larger bearish trend, kind of like what we saw back here, for example. And of course, if we ultimately break below around 2.6k, in that situation, the next strong support is at close to 2.2k. But alongside Bitcoin playing out this oversold signal here on the daily time frame, Ethereum is also now actively playing out an oversold signal in the daily Ethereum RSI. And the last time that this confirmed and started to play out on this daily Ethereum price chart, we did end up seeing just over the next few days, over the next close to 1 week, was a short-term bullish relief in the price of Ethereum. Now, once again, this is not a bottom signal. This does not confirm a massive reversal. It does not confirm huge bullish momentum, but what it does mean is just expect a slight break or a relief from all of the bearish price action in the short term, as in over the next few days, maybe over the next 1 or 2 weeks, but at least over the next few days, I do expect just a slight little relief like this as a very likely scenario, especially if Bitcoin plays out something similar that can really help Ethereum and a lot of altcoins in the short term. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the 2-day time frame, it's something similar for Solana as well, because overall the larger trend, the larger price structure, still technically bearish, but we're still holding on to this important level of support here, sitting at roughly around 124 to 126, give or take. So that is still the support to watch out for. And if we ultimately confirm a break with candle closes below 124, and especially if we fail to get back above that level, then in that situation, I would expect to move down towards around $100 to $105 as the next area of support to watch out for based on these previous lows back down here. But once again, the immediate support is still at roughly 124 to 126, give or take. And as for resistance, if we continue a bit more of a bounce here, expect potentially a small amount of resistance at 135 based on these previous lows back here, based on the candle closes. But ultimately, the next important resistance to watch out for is really in between around 143 to 147 approximately. And of course, just recently, the 2-day Solana RSI, along with especially the RSI on slightly smaller timeframes, got very close, and on smaller timeframes even entered into oversold territories for the first time in quite a while. And the last time we saw an oversold signal on the 2-day time frame was all the way back here around March this year. And what came next was just a short-term bullish relief over the next 1 week or so. And so once again, especially if Bitcoin plays out something similar, it's very likely we're going to see just a slight little relief in the coming days, maybe over the next week, that sort of time frame, a bit of a slight bullish relief. Don't expect a lot of bullish momentum, but that is very likely here in the short term, a slight little relief moving forward. And if we're taking a look at XRP on the weekly time frame, we still technically have the massive bearish divergence continuing to play out, which has not yet confirmed any invalidation signal to invalidate the bearish divergence. So ultimately, when we're talking about the much larger time frames, the larger or longer term moves on the price chart, we're still not in the clear yet. We're still looking quite weak on the weekly time frame. But if we're taking a look at the shorter term here on the daily time frame, obviously XRP is following the rest of the crypto market, as I've been saying throughout the video, with this slight bullish relief. So it is quite likely that XRP will continue to follow Bitcoin and other crypto assets with this short-term bullish relief just in the short term, talking about the next few days, maybe over the next 1 week, that sort of time frame. And as for support and a resistance to watch out for, still expect a lot of support at close to $1.80. And obviously that's almost exactly where the price bounced from at this local low. We got within around 1 or 2 cents from $1.80 before bouncing. So continue to expect a lot of support at close to $1.80. And if the price ultimately gets below $1.80 at some point, in that situation, expect a lot more support at close to $1.60. But once again, $1.80 is the immediate support to watch out for. And as for resistance, we're potentially starting to break out and attempting a breakout above this point on the price chart, which was previous support, which could possibly still act as a bit of resistance, which which is sitting at around $2.05 to $2.07, give or take. And of course, if the price confirms a daily candle close above $2.07, especially if we hold above this level, in that situation, obviously, that will start to form this as new support again, like what we saw back here. And if we actually do that in that situation, the next resistance that I'll be targeting is at around $2.20. And above that, we have strong resistance in between around $2.30 to $2.40. So those will be the next price targets towards the upside if we first officially confirm the breakout with at least a daily candle close above $2.05 to $2.07. But ultimately, as I always say, XRP, along with a lot of the major altcoins, play out very similar price action to whatever Bitcoin is doing. So for example, with Bitcoin over the last 1 month or so, playing out the larger bearish divergence, but just in the short term, starting to play out the short-term bullish divergence, expect something similar for a lot of these altcoins. Of course, XRP playing out the larger bearish divergence over the last few months, but now in the short term, playing out this short-term bullish relief during the larger bearish trends. This is still likely going to be the case, at least for now. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, it's a very similar situation for Chainlink. Obviously, we're still within a larger bearish trend, forming lower highs and lower lows. At least for now, we've not yet confirmed any reversal or end to this larger bearish trend. But just in the short term, talking about the next few days or so, I do expect a little bit more of either a slight bullish relief or maybe a sideways consolidation. Basically, a bit of a break from all of the bearish price action over the next few days is quite likely for the price of Chainlink, especially if Bitcoin and other major altcoins play out something similar. And of course, another reason as to why this is likely going to be the case, on top of the fact that other cryptos are playing out something similar, is due to the fact that we did recently hit oversold in the daily Chainlink RSI for the first time in a very long time. It's been quite a long time since we confirmed an oversold signal on the daily Chainlink RSI. So once again, this is a signal telling us that we've gone too far to the downside too quickly, and we need a little bit of time now in the shorter term to reset the RSI back towards the upside, which means either some slight bullish price action or some neutral price action. So a bit of a break from all of the bearish price action is quite likely just in the next few days or over the next 1 week. And as for support and resistance to watch out for, expect a lot of support at roughly 1160, which is pretty much exactly where the price bounced from. But if we break below 1160, expect more support in between $10.90 to $11. And as for resistance, if we continue a little bit more of a short-term bullish relief, which could be likely over the next few days, expect some resistance in between around $12.80 to $13.30. If we start breaking out, especially above around $13 and start holding above this area on the price chart, in that situation, the next target would be sitting at close to around $14.50, but ultimately the next strong resistance is really in between around $15.20 to $15.70. And once again, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of any crypto, check out the links below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim the massive bonuses that are only available using those links. And if you want to actually know how you can trade crypto no matter what the price is doing here, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.